Let's talk about favorite cars. What are some things that you've driven either lately or in the past that really stick out? And I've been driving, press vehicles for the better part of 20 to 25 years. It's hard, I know, to come up with a few that really stand out, but there have to be some for you. Maybe it's a Bugatti Chiron or something.
My favorite car of all time is the 2004 2005 Porsche Carrera GT, which of course the famous V10 Carrera GT that Paul Walker was in when he was killed and all that. And I love that car more than anything in the world. And I was lucky enough to buy one maybe 6-7 months ago. And that has been my favorite car since I was a kid. And it was really lucky because when I actually was able to drive one for the YouTube channel, it turned out that it was actually my favorite car. Also, getting behind the wheel and using it, it was still just as lovely as I had hoped. So I love that car. Although what I really wanted was an F40, but they have gotten too expensive. And I think that those are for now it's a different market segment than I could ever be in, I suspect. In terms of cars that I've driven recently, I am actually a huge fan of normal cars in the $30,000 to $60,000 range, just sort of regular everyday. But one car that I've loved that I've driven recently that isn't in that price range at all is the Huracan Storado, the four-wheel drive off-road version of the Lamborghini Huracan. I'm not usually like a new supercar guy. I think a lot of new supercars are kind of gauche and over the top and just silly and stupid, but this one is just gauche, over the top, silly and stupid in the most perfect way. And I just think it's one of the stupidest cars ever. And I went to that press launch. It was in the desert in California, and they let us drive it off road. And I was just smitten with that car. I love it.
Wow, amazing. What's coming out that you're looking forward to?
The new Mercedes E-Class, because I've had 5 and I have a 2022 model. So I guess I'll probably end up with the next generation one.
I've got one too.
They're nice.
Great. They're great vehicles. They really are.
I hate to admit that because it's such a boring, like suburban but I'm looking at my 22. I have a station wagon one, and it's just I just drove it across the country. It's a great car. It's great for everything. And so I've gotten to the point in my life, I guess, where that's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to, like getting on the E-Class wagon,
the next sedan.
Right. And see how I can do.
Before we get back to this interview, I want to say that this episode is brought to you by Connected by Reynolds and Reynolds. If you want to hear great conversations and Greg Ulan going deep with guests on everything from used car acquisitions to finding your niche and selling to it, I recommend adding Connected to your podcast rotation. Now let's get back to my interview.
Are you so when it comes to the exotics, what do you like? I mean, if you were to say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get an exotic, and here's the one that I want. Maybe it's the one you have now.
The Carrera GT. I also have a 2005 Ford GT, which is has for a long time been one of my very favorite cars. I think that car is super underrated. I bought that car from a fellow car journalist, actually, Carl Brower, in Southern California. I bought his car, and 5 years ago, I paid him $225,000, which at the time was the most I had ever spent on anything. And I thought I was radically overpaying. And the values have gone way up on those. So I guess I was doing okay. But I pretty much daily drive that car. I just hit 41,000 miles, and I love that car. And I don't know what else I'm thinking of. I always kind of have an idea of getting one more car, but I'm not really sure what it's going to be at the moment.
So when you think about one day, if a brand or a car is going to take over the world, is going to become the next big thing, which car will it be?
That's a good question. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have said Tesla, but I don't really feel that way anymore.
Why not?
Well, I just think that a lot of the innovations that they had that were so special and so amazing and so at the forefront and so ahead of everything have kind of been either caught up to by other automakers and equaled or surpassed in some cases. In fact, in most cases. And I don't really think that Tesla has the great advantage that it once did. And then there's the Elon Musk situation where he used to be this incredible genius who a lot of people really respected. And now we're not really quite as sure after the whole Twitter situation. And so, I think that brand has lost some of its luster, although I still believe the cars are fantastic. I also believe that a lot of the other automakers are close or even better. But I'm not really sure. To be honest, if I were to answer that question, I would say something like Rivian. But I don't think that Rivian itself will take over anything because it sounds like they're in dire straits. But the concept of a vehicle that can off-road better than a Bronco and out-accelerate a 911 and carry as many people and stuff as a Suburban is like this is the future. This is the next age we're in now, where you don't really have to make compromises in a car. And I think that is quite an impressive thing. And I think Rivian has combined that stuff better than anybody else.
Do you like electric vehicles?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are awesome. I don't own one yet, but I at some point I need to jump on that train. I do every summer. I drive across the country, and that makes owning an electric vehicle hard. And so I got to figure all that out.
So it's more about range anxiety than it is anything else.
But it's not even anxiety. I drive from San Diego to East Tennessee in 2 days, and
that'd be hard to do.
It would be hard to do in an electric car. It would be really hard.